Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. In today's video, I'll be using Sizzix Big Shot Switch machine, which is an electric die cutting machine. And I'll also be using an assortment of fun scrapbook.com products. I have the pretty pink cherry blossom color, and currently you can only purchase this color at scrapbook.com. And this machine is featured in scrapbook.com's gift guide. I know this Switch machine keeps selling out, but they have been restocking it, so definitely check it out if you are interested. Scrapbook.com also offers their magic mats to fit the Switch machine, so I'm using one of them and also one of the acrylic plates that comes with the machine. If you've never tried an electric die cutting machine before, this one is really easy to use. You don't have to hold down the button. Instead, there's a sensor bar. Once you have all your plates lined up for the perfect sandwich, you lay it on that pink platform, give it a nudge, and the sensor will detect those plates and pull it through to the other side. I'll be assembling 5 different cards today. For card design number 1, I'm using scrapbook.com's Wildflowers stamp set. I selected the largest image. If you love to color, this is a great image. I don't do any coloring, so I'll be using it a different way. I'll be stamping it on some vellum, and I want to make sure that vellum doesn't move. I have my Mini Misty and also one of scrapbook.com's Clearly Amazing multi-use mats. It's a clear mat, and on one side it's tacky, so when you place it in your Mini Misty, you can put your paper on top and it doesn't move. I also use the magnets just to make sure the whole thing doesn't lift up. I did ink up the image a few times to get a nice solid impression. And the ink I used is from Honeybee Stamps. It's their intense black ink. Now I will set that aside to let it dry completely. When you stamp on vellum, sometimes that ink can smudge easily. If you don't want to wait for the ink to dry, you could always use some clear embossing powder to heat set it. I'll be layering the flower image on some pattern paper, and this is from scrapbook.com's Sherbet collection. I have the pattern paper and also the smooth solids that coordinate with it. I used the pink from the solids, cut out this frame, and the die I used is from Waffle Flower. It's their nesting rectangle frames die, the largest size. I'll put some clear double-sided adhesive on the back. I don't want any of the adhesive to show on the vellum, so I'm making sure to just put it on that pink cardstock. And I'm using the narrow 1/8 of an inch tape. Once I've attached the vellum to the frame, I'll do the same thing and add the adhesive just around that outside. Then I'll adhere it onto the pattern paper. And I selected this fun, colorful stripe design. I've been making so many Christmas cards lately. It was nice to make a few non-Christmas cards. There was a little bit of the vellum peeking out from the frame, so I did go and trim that off. Then I'll put some adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base. For a sentiment on my card, I'm using scrapbook.com's Hello Bloom die set. I love that it has the word and also the outline. I used another solid from the Sherbet collection for the word hello, and the black is from their Christmas solid collection. Layer those two pieces together using some liquid adhesive, then I'll pop them up using some thin foam dimension. I first pulled out the white foam, then remembered I have black, and that works better since I have black cardstock for the back of the sentiment. I'll adhere it in the lower right-hand corner. Then to finish off the card, I'll add some black sequins, and these are from Spellbinders. And yes, I spilled them all over my desk. I'll add some small drops of liquid adhesive and adhere them in place using a pair of reverse tweezers. Put 2 in the upper left-hand corner and 1 above the sentiment. Then for a final finishing touch, thought it would be fun to add a little bit of sparkle to the hello. I'm using the clear glitter brush from scrapbook.com. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. I love how this card turned out. Perfect way to use those beautiful images if you don't color. Now moving on to card design number 2. I'm using scrapbook.com's Snowflake die set. I selected 3 of the smaller size snowflakes, and I'm using some pretty gold glitter paper from Pink & Main. It's their winter glitter paper pack. Since the glitter paper is a little thicker, I did use the reverse feature on the die cut machine. That way I had multiple passes to make sure it cut out completely. I love the detail, and the snowflakes look really pretty in gold glitter. For pattern paper, I'll be using the Christmas collection from scrapbook.com. I have the pattern paper and the solids. I selected this lovely tree design and also a light brown, almost a craft colored cardstock. I'll layer the two pieces together, but the cardstock will only show on the left and top side. The right and bottom will be flush to the edge. I'll put some adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving about 1/4 of an inch of the white card base showing. Again, keeping it flush on the right and bottom of the card. I am using a card sketch for inspiration. This is from Freshly Made Sketches. It's number 536. I've already stamped out the sentiment, and this is from Honeybee Stamps Bitty Buzzwords Holiday Set. May your days be merry and bright. I'll cut a fishtail on the left side, then adhere it in place using some liquid adhesive. I've laid the 3 snowflakes on the card, but I haven't adhered them down yet. Wanted to make sure to get the placement of the sentiment correct. So once I have that ready, I'll use some reverse tweezers to hold the snowflakes, add a little bit of liquid adhesive, then adhere the snowflakes in place. I'll put the larger snowflake above the sentiment, then the 2 smaller snowflakes in the lower left-hand corner. This is glitter paper, but it's really nice since it doesn't shed. I love adding sparkle to my card, but I don't like to use messy glitter. The ink color I use for the sentiment is by Catherine Pooler. It's her spruce color. It matches beautifully with that dark green on the pattern paper. I have just one more snowflake to adhere. Trying to make sure to get enough glue on all those snowflake points so none of them lift up. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. It's a fairly simple card design, but I love how this turned out. The snowflakes are super sparkly. Now moving on to card design number 3. I'm using scrapbook.com's bear die set, and this is absolutely adorable. I love how it includes the Santa hat and the scarf, although I won't be using either of those for my card since this is not a Christmas or even a winter card. I couldn't resist making a pink bear. I have all of my pieces ready to go. The pink and black cardstock colors are from some of scrapbook.com's smooth cardstock collections, and the white is some Nina cardstock. I used some of scrapbook.com's mint tape to hold the dies to the paper while I ran it through the machine. The pattern paper is from scrapbook.com's peppermint collection. I love this collection. There's lots and lots of pink in it. I selected one of the patterns that doesn't really look like Christmas. It could be snowflakes, but I think it also works as flowers. I layered it on a darker pink cardstock. I'll put some adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. Next, I'll add a stitched oval die cut, and I cut this out from some craft cardstock. I'll adhere it in place using some liquid adhesive. For a sentiment, I'm using the Hello Bloom stamp set from scrapbook.com. I love this sentiment, sending a happy hello. I'll stamp it on some white cardstock, and I am using my mini MISTI so I can get a nice solid impression. I'll trim that down to about 1 inch by 4 inches. Before adhering it to my card, I will add some scrap cardstock pieces on the right and left side, and also a narrow strip at the bottom. And that'll help keep everything nice and level since part of it is attached to that stitched oval die cut. I'll adhere the sentiment to the lower portion of the card using some liquid adhesive. Trying to make sure to get it nice and straight. Now I can start assembling the adorable pink bear. Some of the pieces are super tiny, so it does help to have a pair of reverse tweezers. I used white cardstock for the belly and also the bottom of the feet, and also for the muzzle of the bear. But I don't want that piece to be completely white, so I'm using Catherine Pooler's Pucker Up ink color, and I already have enough ink on my brush, so I'll just lightly add it to this white piece. Then I'll adhere it in place using some liquid adhesive. Next, I'll add the nose and the mouth. Then the inside of the ears, and I used a lighter pink color for that, and also the cheeks of the bear. Now the tiniest pieces are the eyes, and they are so teeny tiny. And if you don't want to deal with those teeny tiny pieces, you could always use a black pen for the eyes. I'm adding a very small drop of liquid adhesive, then putting those eyes on top using my reverse tweezers. And the glue will dry clear. So there is my pink bear all assembled. So cute. Now I did put liquid adhesive on the back, then I remembered I wanted to pop it up. So I'm using my finger and wiping away that liquid adhesive. Then I'll add some thin foam dimension on the back. The foam squares are from Spellbinders. I love the nice thin size. It's 1 millimeter. They have white and also black. I did cut a couple of the pieces smaller for the ears. Then I'll remove the release paper and adhere my bear right above the sending a happy hello sentiment. I think this cute bear would brighten up anyone's day. For a little extra detail, I decided my pink bear needed a sparkly red glitter flower. And I used the Hello Bloom die set and some more of Pink and Main's glitter paper. I'll adhere the flower in front of her left ear using some liquid adhesive. Then to finish off the card, I'll add some gem stickers from Honeybee Stamps. I have their Rainbow Birthday Collection using this pretty pink color. Put 2 in the upper left-hand corner and 1 in the lower right-hand corner. I'll also add a red gem sticker to the center of the flower. And since I am adhering it onto some glitter paper, I'll put a small drop of liquid adhesive just to make sure it stays in place. So there is my finished card, and again I did make 2 using this design. For card design number 4, I'm using Scrapbook.com's Nested Trees and also their Nested A2 rectangle dies. I'm cutting out the tree from some green cardstock and the rectangle from some craft cardstock. Next I'll use the Stitch Snowflake backdrop from Lawn Fawn to add a fun detail to the back of the craft cardstock piece. I love dies that add that stitch detail to the background since it doesn't add any extra dimension. Now that piece of cardstock did get stuck to the die, so I used a pair of tweezers to help remove it. For pattern paper, I'll be using Scrapbook.com's Christmas collection. I have this beautiful soft teal plaid design. I'll put some adhesive on the back and add this piece onto my card base. Decided not to add a cardstock layer this time. And I know that's very rare for me since I love adding cardstock layers. Next, I'll use some liquid adhesive to adhere this fun snowflake stitched panel. I'll try my best to get it straight and centered. With all that stitch detail, it does take just a little bit longer to adhere in place. Then I'll add the lovely Christmas tree die cut and I'll adhere that in place using liquid adhesive. I'm lining up the trunk all the way at the bottom of that snowflake panel. For a sentiment, I've already stamped out Merry Christmas, and this is from Scrapbook.com's Cheerful Sentiments stamp set. This is a great set since it covers a wide variety of holidays and other card themes. I cut a fishtail on the right and left side, and I will pop it up using some of the thin foam strips from Scrapbook.com. And this is the perfect width to add 2 of the narrow strips. And you can see on the back of this piece where I didn't get a great stamp impression, so I flipped it over and tried again. That's a nice thing about using thicker cardstock for your sentiments. I'll remove the release paper and adhere the sentiment toward the bottom of the tree. Next, I'll add a glitter star to the top of the tree. The star die is from Wildflower, and I used some more of Pink and Main's glitter paper. And I did pop that up using a circle foam piece from Scrapbook.com. Then to finish off the card, I'll decorate the tree using some warm pearls from Honeybee Stamps. I'm using this lovely cream color that has sort of an iridescent finish on it. There are 3 different sizes, and I'm using all 3 sizes to decorate my tree. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 4. I love the colors on this card. Sometimes it's fun to use non-traditional Christmas colors. Now moving on to card design number 5. According to the directions, you can use the switch machine to emboss with a regular embossing folder and also use a 3D embossing folder. So I thought I would try that out. This is the Circle Illusion embossing folder from Spellbinders. So I followed the instructions on the plates for the proper sandwich, and I did try this a couple of times, but I didn't get a really great impression using the machine. I think it may help to have a shim. So I did take this piece and ran it through my manual die cut machine to get a better impression. I am still new to using an electric die cutting machine, so I'll keep practicing so I can figure out how to use the embossing folders. I trimmed down this panel to 4¼ inches by 5½ inches, put some liquid adhesive on the back, and I'll adhere it to my card base. Now I'll set that aside so I can stamp out some of the images from Scrapbook.com's Wildflower Branches set. This set has the stamps and the coordinating dies, so that's really nice. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I don't color images, so I decided to stamp these on a lighter teal cardstock color. I think this one is included in the Sherbert collection. I stamped them using Catherine Pooler's Uptown ink color. Then I'll pull out the coordinating dies, hold them in place using some of Scrapbook.com's mint tape, then I'll run them through my die cut machine. This is a low tack tape, so it doesn't rip your paper, but it's still sticky enough that you can use it several times. Once I have all of my images cut out, I can add them to my card. And I also cut out this fun circle frame from Scrapbook.com's nested decorative circle die set. It's a little hard to see in the video, but the frame has some fun etched flowers all around it. I'll adhere that down first and also tuck one of the branches underneath that circle frame. I did put an acrylic block on top for some added weight while the glue adhered. And while I was waiting, I did stop recording, and then I forgot to start recording, so I did miss a little segment. I put the other 2 flowers on the left side, and I also added the Hello Sentiment die cut, which is from Scrapbook.com's Hello Bloom die set. I cut out 2 of the Hello Sentiments, glued them together just for a little extra dimension. Behind the flowers and a couple of the leaves, I did put some foam dimension to pop those up. For a little bit of sparkle on the flowers, I'm using Scrapbook.com's Pops of Color. This is the Snowflake glitter color. Then for a final finishing touch, I'll use some more of the Pops of Color, this time the white. I'll add 3 of them around the sentiment and 2 around the image. I'm tapping my card lightly to flatten out those drops. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. I love the look of teal, white, and black together. Now here's another look at the 10 cards I made using an assortment of Scrapbook.com products. Made a couple of Christmas cards and then several non-Christmas cards. I think the pink bear is my favorite, but I really like how all of the cards turned out. But do let me know which card is your favorite. It's always fun to hear what other people like. If you are interested in any of the products I used in this video, I do have links provided in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.